Hi, I'm Glenda Adkisson, Executive Director of the Paducah Area Chapter of the American Red Cross. Here with me today is Elizabeth Long, also with the American Red Cross. She's with our regional chapter out of Cincinnati, Ohio. And we are going to discuss today, holiday season is also fire season. We care about our community, and the Red Cross works diligently to help keep our community safe. We help families prepare for, prevent, and we also respond to disasters. During December, January, and February, we see 40% of all the disasters, the home fires that happen throughout the year take place in December, January, and February. This trend is also true throughout the nation. Nationally, Elizabeth, can you tell us a little bit about the statistics of home fires during December, January, and February throughout the nation?
Well, nearly 47,000 fires occurred during the winter holidays, and in those fires about 500 people lose their lives and more than 2,200 people are injured, and they cause about $554 million in property damage. On average, one of every 22 home fires nationally started by Christmas trees result in death. The number of home fires that the American Red Cross responds to in that 3-month period has risen 10% since the year 2000. So just very startling. And so December, January, and February, just very, very busy time for the Red Cross, not only in the Paducah area, but around the country because of the holiday season and because of the cold weather.
You know, Elizabeth, Christmas and the holiday season has always been my favorite time of year. I love getting together with family, as most of us do. We enjoy the lights, we enjoy the season for the most part. It's very difficult if you have a tragedy during that time. And last year, the Paducah Area Chapter assisted 25 clients, 12 of them children. And it's difficult whenever you have that association of a time that we all want to be happy and carefree and it be an enjoyable time of year, and also associate that with tragedy. So this year we're hoping to really help our community become aware of things that we can do, just safe habits, safe choices that we can make, and really stay safe. And there are some things that we can do to make a big difference in just keeping our families not only having a good time, but as we bake those wonderful cookies and whip up that wassail, that we're also thinking safety and how we decorate, how we cook, all those things that we can do. And there are a lot of things that we can do.
Absolutely. For example, now that you're going to be getting ready to decorate, or some people, throughout the season continue to decorate, place Christmas trees, candles, your other holiday decorations at least 3 feet away from heat sources, like fireplaces, like your portable heaters, heat vents. So keep those away. You may want to consider getting a flame retardant or an artificial tree, but if you get a real tree, make sure that it has fresh green needles that aren't easily broken. Keep the trees as moist as possible throughout the season. Give them plenty of water, so that way it reduces the likelihood of them being, real flammable. Also, make sure that your lights and your other holiday decorations are in good condition. Don't use anything with frayed electrical cords. Follow the manufacturer's instructions for using those decorations inside and outside. Always unplug your tree and your holiday lights before leaving your house or going to bed. Do not use lit candles to decorate a tree. Keep them away from the tree.
It's interesting to me that in our history, we have had, apparently years ago, they decorated real trees with real candles. I cannot imagine. I think maybe that's why the trend is not still popular, is because they probably set the house on fire. But that is something that, we love candles. I love the smell of a real tree. I enjoy candles and the smell of cinnamon. And there are ways to do that and do it safely. For example, when you have people come over for an event, maybe you're having a holiday party, you can have people come over, but if you have one person designated to just keep an eye on the candles, you may have moved everything away from a candle, but if someone comes in that home, especially if you have children around, they may have laid a toy close to the candle, they may have put their purse down or their sweater down and not realized how close it was to, but we have to keep in mind that this is fire. A candle smells wonderful, and the fireplace is cozy and it smells wonderful, and it makes a nice environment, but it is fire, and fire can be our worst enemy if it gets out of control. Another thing is discussing the trees. Real trees are wonderful, but they are not, if you get an artificial tree, typically, if you buy them in a good place, they're going to be straight and even. Real trees that grow in a tree farm are not going to be that way. They're not always even. And so sometimes they may be heavier on one side than the other. We have to have sturdy tree stands.
Right, exactly.
So that's an important thing to remember, and make sure that you stand back and make sure it's even and not going to topple over.
Right, and you also want to keep children and pets, or try to keep children and pets. I know that can be difficult during the season, but try to keep them away from the tree. And I know cats they love to climb, so it's going to be very difficult to keep a cat away from a tree. We had a cat that actually climbed our artificial tree, but you want to try to keep pets and children away from the tree. And again, good rule of thumb, anything, any heat source, keep that tree 3 feet away from that heat source, because that tree, even artificial, could go up in flames.
A lot of people promote, and I think it is a good idea, to have timers on our trees to make sure that they cut off at a certain time. It's always good to make sure, though, that if you're going to leave the home or if you're going to bed, that you just double check, because even a timer is not foolproof, and it can malfunction and leave your trees on all night. And not only does it save electricity, but it also makes it safer to have those lights turned off at night. Another thing is, if we decorate the entire outside, if we line the house with lights, many people overload not only their outlets, but they'll use extension cords, according to our fire marshal is on our board of directors, and he was discussing the other day about how many home fires are started because we overload extension cords. It's a very important thing to think about, is that we don't overload those outlets.
Right. So really, when you're decorating for the holidays, it's great to decorate, and we all love to do it, or most of us love to do it, but also keep in mind the safety factor. So when you're putting those decorations up, think about safety. It's very important, but not only in decorating, but also in the kitchen, right?
Right. In the kitchen, it is just reasonable that if you're having family in, you're going to be cooking more. A lot of times you'll have small children helping you. They want to help bake the cookies, and that's fun, but you have to watch them. It's not a good idea to wear long sleeves while you're cooking. I actually had a sister that caught her sleeves on fire whenever I was a child, and she was fine. We got it put out, but that's something that often we don't think about. And a lot of times it's cooler in the house, so people will, without thinking about it, wear long sleeves. Don't do that. At least push your sleeves up so that it's not easily, as you're reaching over the stove, you don't get your sleeve caught. Your mittens that you use, the oven mittens, keeping them away. Anything that is might be flammable, make sure you keep them away. As we have family in the house or visitors in the house, it would be very, very easy to walk out, get involved in a conversation, and forget your cooking. Since I have been at our local chapter of the American Red Cross, we have had, and this is just general terms, but I would say close to 50% of all the home fires that we have responded to have been unattended cooking. Times where people, either they fell asleep, they put something on the stove, they fell asleep, walked outside, and the cooking they've left there, and it has turned in, to a disaster. And Elizabeth, often a tornado, a hurricane, those kinds of disasters are well known. People hear about them. People know that they are disasters. However, the silent disasters, which is what we refer to as home fires, that is just as devastating. We see families all the time that have lost everything they have, and sometimes family members that they have lost to a home fire, and it is often preventable. At least having a smoke detector where it wakes people up, but that is just as devastating, and that is something that your local American Red Cross responds to throughout the year. We respond to individual home fires, and often people may or may not know about what we're doing to help them get temporary housing. We help them with their immediate need for food and for clothing. Sometimes they may get out in the middle of the night and maybe they're dressed and maybe they are in their gown, maybe they were sleeping and just barely got out. And of course it's often, it's so important that we be prepared.
Right. And I've said before that we all need to have respect for Mother Nature. That applies also to the elements like fire. And as you were saying, about 50% of the fires that you responded to were caused by unattended cooking. We need to have respect for that fire, whether it's on the stove or whether it's a candle, and really respect that so we don't take it for granted. We have that healthy respect for fire, and that in just an instant it can get out of control. So again, when you're cooking, keep in mind, is there anything that could catch fire around that stove? Like you talked about oven mitts, or if you're using wooden spoons or anything like that. Is there anything close by? And also teach your children to stay away from the stove. Years ago, one of my classmates in grade school, she caught the back of her dress on the handle of a coffee pot with hot coffee in it and burned her back. So, it just simple tips like that, preventative measures that you can take, because in an instant you could get injured, your house could just go up in flames, and what's supposed to be a happy time of the year could turn into tragedy.
Elizabeth, I know that whenever I was in school, one thing that I had a homemaking course, and one thing that our instructor emphasized to us, and somehow it always stuck with me, is when you're cooking, don't leave the handle sticking out, because as you walk by you could so easily turn that over, and of course that may not necessarily start a fire, but it certainly can scald someone. But those kinds of habits that we get into, and teaching our children just those safe habits that with good cooking, with good decorating, with good party planning comes a need for safe habits as well.
Right. And Glenda, the American Red Cross wants families to have the confidence and peace of mind that goes along with knowing they're prepared for an emergency. Disaster preparedness shouldn't be overwhelming, it shouldn't be scary, nor is it expensive or time-consuming. So here are some tips from the American Red Cross on how you can prepare for the unexpected.
Tornadoes, earthquakes, power outages, fires, floods, terrorism. Whether by human or by natural causes, disasters can strike anywhere, quickly and without warning. Hi, I'm Tanya. Did you know that about half of all Americans are unprepared for any kind of disaster? What about you? We live in unpredictable times, and we've got to be ready for any emergency or disaster situation that we may face. And that is exactly what this program will help you do.
We know that most people aren't prepared for a disaster, don't have a plan, don't have a kit, don't know what they do ahead of time. It's time for us to wake up and understand that if we think about these things ahead of time, it's so much better for our well-being should something happen.
First, prepare your home and make sure it is as safe as possible. Take action to prevent any home disasters, such as a kitchen or home fire. Remove or fix any potential hazards, like faulty wiring or improper chemical storage. Install smoke alarms, test them every month, and replace their batteries the same time every year. Have fire extinguishers on hand and know how to use them, and post emergency numbers near every phone. Most importantly, have a disaster supplies kit ready and make your family communication plans. The Red Cross has created web pages with specific steps to help you prepare for a variety of disasters and emergency situations, from power outages to terrorism alerts. The basic information on how to prepare involves 3 simple but important actions. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Let's focus first on how to get a kit. If you could only take one action to get ready for emergencies, this is the one to take. Having a disaster supplies kit could be a real lifesaver. A disaster supplies or emergency preparedness kit is a collection of basic items that you and your family would need during and right after a disaster. You can put your own kit together or order one from your local American Red Cross chapter or online at www.redcross.org. To build your own disaster supplies kit, place items in an easy-to-carry, portable container like a backpack, storage bin, or a cooler. Something with wheels would be good. The idea is to have everything you need in one place and in something that can be easily taken with you if needed. Your kit should include a 3-day supply of food and water, enough for each member of your family, a flashlight, extra batteries, a portable battery or hand crank powered radio, a first aid kit, cash and matches in a waterproof container, and basic kitchen utensils, including a manual can opener. Remember to also include items that you could not live without, such as medications, sanitary items, extra clothes, and toiletries. Remember to pack foods for infants, people with allergies, or special diets, as well as food for any pets. For convenience, put snack-sized items with pull-top lids. Include favorite comfort foods and resealable bags for leftovers, storage, and waste disposal. All food should require no refrigeration, preparation, or cooking. Think about adding toys, books, and games. If you need to evacuate to a shelter, these items will provide entertainment for your family. And don't forget to add copies of important documents and medical records, prescriptions, Social Security cards, birth certificates, deeds, and insurance policies. After a disaster, ATM and credit card machines may not be operating, so remember to stash some cash too. The best way to deal with an emergency is to make a plan ahead of time. Sit down and talk with your family to create an evacuation plan for your home, especially how you'll get out in case of a fire. You should have 2 exits. Discuss where you will meet outside your home. Discuss where you will meet outside your neighborhood if you can't return home. You also need to make plans if you are told to stay at home or to shelter in place. Staying at home could mean being on your own for additional days, even weeks, so be prepared by having more non-perishable food and water supplies. Think about how you would evacuate your workplace and get home. Think about how you will reconnect with your children and loved ones. Think about what you would need if asked to stay at home due to a public health crisis, such as the pandemic flu. Consider these questions and think about the things you and your family will need to survive a disaster, and build your plan around those needs. As part of your plan, your family can easily record important phone numbers and information for each member of the family to carry with them. Include an out-of-town contact that you all should call. Make a family communication plan that includes all of these phone numbers and directions on how to contact each other. Having an out-of-town friend or family contact may make it easier to connect with each other. Long-distance calls sometimes get through better during an emergency. This contact can let everyone else know where you are and if you are safe. A form for recording this information can be found at www.redcross.org/contact card. Another way you can let people know you are safe is to visit the American Red Cross Disaster Safe and Well website. You will be able to list yourself as safe and also search for messages from others in your contact list. During specific disasters, you may be asked to stay at home or to evacuate. Knowing the right action is crucial. Listen to emergency announcements. If local officials order an evacuation, it is important to leave and leave early to avoid traffic delays. Your local Office of Emergency Management may have designated evacuation routes. Learn these routes, and when told to evacuate, grab your emergency preparedness supplies kit and go. Take your pets with you. Your plan should also consider any special needs or steps for elderly members of your family and people with disabilities. You also must know what to do if you have to stay at home due to a winter storm, or what to do if told to shelter in place. To shelter in place, you would take refuge in a small interior room with no or few windows and seal that room. To learn more about specific procedures, visit www.redcross.org. And once you have your plans in place, you should run practice drills and fine-tune any steps or procedures.
Go all the way.
Once you have a plan, it's not okay to say, okay, cross that off the list, don't go there again. Every 6 months, go back, look at the plan, make sure you understand it. Look at those items in the kit and make sure that they're still there and they're still what you need. It's not okay to rest on your laurels and say, I'm prepared, I took care of this 3 years ago.
As you can see, there are many considerations and situations to think about, so you can understand why planning matters. If you know what to do, you will have saved precious minutes and avoid confusion. And believe me, knowing what to do in the rush of a disaster will also give you peace of mind and might just save your life. Be informed. It helps to know what may happen and how you can help yourself and others. Learn what disasters or emergencies may occur where you live, work, and play, such as a hurricane, tornado, or earthquake. Think about how these incidents could affect you, your family, and community. Identify how authorities will notify you and how you will get important information before, during, and after a disaster. What are your community's response plans? Do you know the school's policy for dismissing children in an emergency or disaster? What radio station should you listen to? How can you use technology such as computers and cell phones to access information? Who should you call? How would you evacuate? Where would you find shelter? What services are in place to assist people with disabilities or who need medical or functional support?
The things that people can do to prepare for emergencies are very simple. And if we think about these things ahead of time, it's so much better for our well-being should something happen.
Disasters can happen to anyone, and if one does strike, put your plan into action. A little preparation now can save precious time and help ensure the safety and well-being of you and your loved ones. And share what you learn with others so that they can prepare ahead of time too. We all should spend a little time planning to be ready, just in case we have to be on our own for a time. I know what I need to do. How about you? And remember, the American Red Cross is there to help you get ready. So don't wait. Get a kit, make a plan, and be informed.
It's very important, as this video explained, about preparing. And we can't emphasize that enough at the Red Cross, the importance to prepare, not just adults, but the entire family. And the Red Cross has many resources to help people plan for disasters, and all folks need to do is contact the Paducah area chapter. One thing we have in schools, it's called Masters of Disaster, and it's curriculum for teachers to help instruct students on preparedness, and it includes activities. Well, now the American Red Cross has come out with Masters of Disasters, a family kit. So families, again, can work with their children on preparedness, putting together a kit, and most importantly, developing a plan, especially as we enter our holiday season. What will you do? Think about disasters that could hit. In this case, a fire. What would you do? There are a lot of other preparedness tips specifically relating to house fires and what people should do.
Well, and Elizabeth, I think it's very important that we not live fearful of what might happen, because if we just simply make develop good habits and consciously prepare for what might, the unexpected, often we'll prevent the unexpected. We can prevent those home fires, and we are more likely to be safe. And then should something happen that is outside of our control, we know how to react.
Right.
And we know how to stay safe.
And once, in the event that a fire does occur, please remember these tips. Once you're out of the house, stay out. Don't try to get back inside of the house. Call the fire department if you have a cell phone, or go to a neighbor's house. If you see smoke or fire in your escape route, try a second way out, because you really need to develop 2 ways out of your home. If you have to exit through smoke, crawl underneath. If you're escaping through a closed door, feel the door. If it's hot, don't open the door, because there could be fire on the other side. Try your second way out. But if smoke or heat or flames do block your exit routes, stay in that room with the door closed. Use a bright colored cloth in the window. If you have a telephone, call the fire department. Tell them where you're at. So just some basic tips. But again, get together with your family, develop a plan, what you would do in the event of a fire, and most importantly, rehearse and practice that plan,
Right.
so that it's second nature
Right.
in the event of a fire.
Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining me today. And I would like to thank you for joining the Paducah area chapter of the American Red Cross for these important tips on preventing home fires during your holiday season. We'd like to wish you a very happy and very safe holiday season. For more information on how you can prevent home fires and keep your family safe, preparedness kits, and to get more information, please contact us. Our chapter office is at the corner of 8th and Monroe in Paducah. Our telephone number is 442-3575. And you can also visit us on our website, which is paducahredcross.org. Again, thank you for joining us today for tips on holiday season safety. Thank you.